Hi, I'm Genevieve Jacobs from the Riot Act. Now, if you think about accessibility, you might think ramps. There's certainly one of those here at the Administrative Centre for Beyond Bank in Mawson. But Beyond Bank they've gone beyond. They've been thinking about how to make life a little easier for clients who are living with conditions like Down syndrome, Alzheimer's, dementia, a range of other issues that might make it a little bit difficult to do your banking business. And we're in the middle of an entire mocked-up branch, which will be going ahead very shortly in the Canberra City Centre. Daniel Vittorio is with me, and he is the Property and Facilities Manager for Beyond Bank. Dan, great to have you here. What's the inspiration behind this?
Well, as part of my role as a National Manager, I manage all of the design and builds of Beyond Bank across the country. And we have our standard design, but in the last few months we've been looking at modifying our design in terms of the bank's requirements. And we thought, why not go out into the community and collaborate with the community? Because at the heart of what we do, Beyond Bank, is doing good and returning value to our customers and being a part of the community. We started with dementia, and now we've extended that to autism, MS and Down syndrome. So we've got members of the community with these disabilities to come here today, do a real life mock-up of it, and also share some 3D renders, get some feedback, and then before we finalise our design.
With me here are Mitzi Polacsek, who's from the Merrymead Autism Unit, and Dr. Wendy Elford, who's both someone who lives with autism but also has specific design qualifications. So I'm really interested, Wendy, in your take on what's going on here, what Beyond Bank are trying to do. What are the elements that you see that make this perhaps a more comfortable experience for people living with autism?
Well, for the start, I think just the degree of interest that they've placed in looking at what people need is actually a feature itself. So they're actually considering the customer and also the staff members and making them welcome. So any feature that allows the person to see what they need as they enter the building, as they move around the space, is a sign that they're actually welcome as a customer, as an employee, as someone who's going to benefit from actually being in the building.
Yeah, like Wendy said, it's really been good working with Beyond Bank. They've had a lot of involvement with Merrymead as well, and we've even done awareness training with them, and they've been looking to implement financial training for people on the spectrum and other diverse conditions.
You've been part of the consulting process for all of this, which is pretty unusual.
Yeah, it's really a real credit to Beyond Bank that they're taking all of this into account, and sometimes it's not necessarily having incredible infrastructure, but we find through Get Aboutable that attitude is a really big thing. And I think, Carl, would you say even for people on the autism spectrum, it can just be really helpful knowing someone is there kind of taking your needs and your experience into account. And
yes,
I think,
but even when those features are there, they're not always clearly put out. But with the way that this facility has been designed, it seems to be that there's going to be a big change to that. That it's small enough that there'll be someone who can see, hey, there's someone in here who might need, say, a bit of extra space for their wheelchair.
And I guess, Adrienne, exactly as Carl's saying, that's the point. This whole design implies that people are aware that there are different needs, that they are taking those into account, and that they're willing to deal with them proactively, and that's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the way that they've designed some of these areas to be flexible as well, allows scope for adjusting things. People on the spectrum don't always need a lot of adjustments, but
sometimes that adaptability is necessary. Yeah. Which actually I want to talk about. They were showing off the meeting room on one of the bits and pieces there, and even though it's a meeting room, they've designed it so that it can be adapted to be a quiet room. If someone like me is experiencing too much on a sensory level, they can go in there. All the acoustics are designed to muffle the sound outside. The lights are adjustable. It sounds like it'd be really helpful.
Also with us today at Beyond Bank are Gemma Francescangeli from ACT Down Syndrome and Katie Senior. Gemma, it's impressive to see the amount of effort that's going in here. Why is that important for people who live with Down syndrome?
Banks are something that everybody uses, whether you're a 10-year-old kid to someone who's in their 90s, and it needs to encompass everybody's abilities. And people with Down syndrome are no different, so they come into the bank, they use the same systems that we do. They do have some other challenges that maybe everybody else doesn't, but it's really nice to see Beyond Bank acknowledging that and doing everything they can to make it a comfortable and positive experience for them to use the same services as everybody else.
Katie, is it stressful when you go to the bank?
Well, yes, like sometimes, yes, it can be a bit hectic, yeah.
The final piece in the puzzle is Leah Markey from SMA Design, who's been responsible for all of this. Leah, from talking to some of the people that are here today, this has been quite a complex design process.
It definitely has, but I think it's such a crucial part of the design. You know, having a tenancy look good and be functional for the staff is one thing, but then having the community groups being able to come in and give their own thoughts and make sure that it's accessible and usable for all parts of the community, I think is really important. We had initial consultations with a couple of the people from the Dementia Friendly Association. They noted a few finishes changes that they thought would be very beneficial, you know, things like no mirrored surfaces, looking at not having dark holes in the floor dark marks in the floor that could be mistaken as holes, no big patterns and things like that in the furniture and finishes. It's those kind of things that we just want to make sure that people that come in don't get confused, don't get upset when they're using the space.
It's a huge achievement. Well done, Leah.
Wonderful, thank you very much.